Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, with the preseason patch being out for a couple days now, I thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at some of the best champions, the biggest winners from the preseason changes. So we're going to be going over 10 champions, 2 for each role, that are the best right now for patch 9.23. So if we start things off here up in the top lane, our first pick is going to be Malphite, and Malphite, along with a lot of other tank champions, did get indirectly stronger in preseason. I think Malphite did win out a little bit more than other tanks though, because of a couple different reasons. Number one, the changes to Dragon really benefited Malphite a little bit more so than other tank champions. The new Cloud Dragon, really good for him, reducing his ultimate CDR. That's great for Malphite because whenever his ult's up, he can look to play aggressive, he can look to force fight. The even bigger one though is the change to the Mountain Dragon. Old Mountain Dragon was kind of useless for the most part on Malphite. You know, you're not really going to be looking to split push a lot of the time with the champion dealing damage to towers, so that wasn't a very useful dragon at all on Malphite. But the new Mountain Drake is super good for him. It's probably the best Drake in the game for Malphite because it increases his armor and his abilities do scale off of his armor, so whenever you can get a Mountain Drake on Malphite, it's just super impactful for him. And then like all the other tanks, he gets stronger because of the true damage removal from Conqueror. Spear of Sojin's no longer in the game, Kleptomancy's no longer in the game, so those are also some other things that do make him a much stronger pick for preseason. And then the second biggest winner in this patch is Mordekaiser. So it's kind of interesting because a lot of bruisers technically get weaker in this patch into tank champions because of the removal from the true damage from Conqueror, but Mordekaiser actually doesn't get that much weaker even though the true damage got removed. He still can go for the Liandry's and the Rylai's. He still got the percent HP damage coming out of that combo, and it just makes it so that he still is a very good pick into tank champions. He's probably the best top laner right now that you can pick into a lot of these very strong tanks. With the buffs to Doran's shield in this patch, I forgot to mention this when talking about Malphite, but the Doran's shield buffs really help out these melee top laners like the Mord and the Malphite in ranged matchups. Just ranged champions overall in the top lane are a lot weaker in the preseason because Doran's shield is a lot better now at regenning against ranged champions. Kleptomancy's removed, so you're not gonna just be farmed in the laning phase by certain ranged champions. So just overall, really nice changes for both Mordekaiser and Malphite here in the preseason. So if we move into the jungle now, so far in this patch, junglers that have the ability to control early dragons and solo out early dragons by themselves are doing very well in 9.23. So first up here is going to be Warwick. It was pretty much just a matter of time, in my opinion, before Warwick became one of the strongest, if not the strongest jungler in the game now. He's been buffed repeatedly over the past couple patches here. He's gotten a ton of direct and indirect buffs over the past few patches that has just made him a much stronger pick for solo queue. So with those dragon changes in this patch, really good for him because he can very easily solo out a dragon as soon as it spawns. If he can start stacking those dragons for his team early on, then it's going to really benefit him there throughout the mid game. The buffs he got a couple patches ago were also really good. He got a buff to his Q, a buff to his W. The fact that he does deal percent HP damage with his Q makes him a great pick to where the meta is shifting as well, because we are seeing more tanks being played, so percent HP damage in your kit there from Warwick allows you to do a lot better into those tank champions. The fact you can get level 3 now off of 2 buffs and a camp benefit Warwick a ton. He's not a jungler who has any AoE damage coming out in the early game until you do grab a Tiamat, so in previous patches doing red into Krugs and then Raptors just felt really bad on Warwick. It would take him a very long time to clear out those camps and it just wasn't really worth doing on him, so getting level 3 now off of 3 camps feels much better for Warwick. And then for the second jungler following right behind Warwick as another really good objective control jungler in this patch is the Nunu. So it seems like Nunu's been a great pick pretty much for the entirety of season 9. He's like almost always been an S tier jungler, and for season 10 he even gets better here. So with Rift Herald and dragons being much easier to take, and with dragons being pretty strong here in the preseason, Nunu's ability to solo those out in the early game is super easy to do so, and you can just get the ball rolling very quickly with Nunu in this patch. patch. Nunu is an Aftershock user as well, and Aftershock did see buffs in this patch to tank champions. If you're going to be stacking a lot more armor and magic resist, then you're going to be benefiting a lot from the new Aftershock, so that's another reason as to why Nunu does get better in the preseason. On both the Warwick and the Nunu as well, if you're able to secure an early Ocean Dragon, and if the Ocean Dragon is the one that spawns for the rest of the game, that's just insane for these champions because they already do have a lot of great sustain in their kits with their Qs healing them, and with the Ocean Dragon healing as well, it's just going to be very, very difficult to kill these champions come the mid to late game if you get that Ocean Dragon spawn. Alright, so moving on to the mid lane now, hear me out on this pick because it might seem like a little bit of a troll pick at first, but I can assure you it is a very strong pick in preseason, and it's going to be the Nocturne mid. So Nocturne mid is a pick that we have seen in previous metas a little bit. It's never really caught on too much, but it's been a decent pick in past patches. In this patch right now, it gets even better because of a few different changes. So the biggest change that makes it better in the preseason is the addition of Sanguine Blade. Once you pick this item up on Nocturne, you basically just look to ult off cooldown, kill the enemy laner over and over again, and there's just pretty much no mid lane champion that can 1v1 you once you pick up this item. The cloud changes are great for him in this patch too. Having the shorter cooldown on your ultimate just allows you to make a lot more plays in the early to mid game, allows you to look for more 1v1s, allows you to look for more roam plays, so that's another great change to him in 9.23. Now Nocturne's level 6 obviously is very strong, but pre-6 he does have a bit of a weaker laning phase. If you're up against ranged champions, you can get poked out pretty easily in the laning phase, so what a lot of Nocturne players are doing right now to compensate for that is they're just taking the corrupting potion, taking Time Wart Tonic, taking biscuits. Your main goal with the Nocturne mid isn't to like solo kill your opponent pre-6, it's more so to get past your early laning phase, get to your level 6, get to your Sanguine Blade, and that's where you really start to come online. And the second mid lane pick here is going to be Fizz. Now Fizz didn't really see too many changes in the preseason, too many indirect changes that would really make him that much better. He was already one of the strongest mid lane picks in patch 9.22, so he does remain a very strong pick here for the preseason. The Cloud Dragon changes in this patch are always welcome for Fizz. Having reduced cooldown on your ultimate is great for him because it just allows him to play so much more aggressively. His ultimate is just such a key part of his kit. Whenever that's up, you can just look to play so much more aggressive and look to go for solo kills. He's also a pretty good pick into the Sanguine Blade users. Fizz can do a pretty good job at matching those champions in the side lane, unlike a lot of other champions, because as long as you can hit your ultimate on those champions and use your full combo on them, if you can one-shot them, it doesn't matter how broken Sanguine Blade is. If you're able to one-shot them, then they're not going to get any benefit out of the item at all. Moving down to the bot lane now for our first AD carry, Jhin did benefit a lot from the Stormrazor changes in the preseason. He's one of the best champions with the new Stormrazor. You slot that in as your second item on Jhin in this patch after your Infinity Edge, and your core build there of the Infinity Edge, Stormrazor, and the Rapid Fire Cannon just allows you to hit a very nice mid-game spike. That extra energized damage that you now get from your Zeal items along with the Stormrazor is also great for Jhin because he's not an AD carry that's going to be pumping out a ton of DPS in fights. He's more so front loaded. He's going to deal a lot of damage pretty quickly, and then he's got to wait to reload, wait for a little bit to deal more damage. So having that extra energized damage on your auto attacks is great for Jhin because it allows him to just hit a lot harder with his 4 auto attacks. And then for the second AD carry, it is going to be Caitlyn, and Caitlyn, similar to Jhin, is one of the best users of the new Stormrazor in 9.23, so she's doing great with the exact same build that Jin's using in this patch of the Infinity Edge into Stormrazor and Rapid Fire Cannon. She's just such a great pick right now in the current meta because even though Ezreal has been nerfed in this patch with the Kleptomancy removal, he's still being played a lot, and Caitlyn does very well into that matchup. Kai'Sa is still the most picked AD carry right now for 9.23, and she isn't performing super well. Caitlyn can do a very good job at just bullying out these weaker early game AD carries and having a very good time in this patch. And then lastly, if we take a look at 2 support champions here, first up is going to be Soraka. So Soraka got a great indirect buff in this patch because of the changes to Ocean. The new Ocean Dragon is just so strong for Soraka because it allows her to continuously regen during team fights, allows her to keep getting HP back, keep healing her teammates. So the amount of extra healing you're gonna be able to get out now in the patch because of these Ocean Dragon changes are so good for Soraka. Now take note of the build there for Soraka in this patch. The Shurelia's is doing very well on her as either a second or third item. It's doing a little bit better as a third item in this patch, but going for a Shurelia's on Soraka is just great because she doesn't really have any sort of really good peel in her kit. Her E is a decent peel tool if it can be used well, but she's nothing like a Janna to where you can just knock back a target and knock them away from your team in a fight. So having that extra movement speed there on Shurelia's allows her to just give her team that extra movement speed, allows her team to kite back really nicely if they're getting dove on. So it's just a great item for Soraka for this patch. And then lastly here to round it out, a great support for the majority of season 9, Nautilus is still very good for season 10. So he didn't really see too many changes or indirect changes here in the preseason that would make him that much better. He was already a great pick in last patch. He is still a very strong pick here for the preseason in 9.23. So if you're looking to pick up that aggressive support who can snowball the early game, who can skirmish very well in the early game, and that can help control those early dragons, then Nautilus is going to be a great pick for you in 9.23. So that is going to be all, guys. That's going to round out the video. So 10 of the strongest champions right now that you can play in preseason patch 9.23. So hopefully this does give you a pretty good idea of what you should be prioritizing, what are the best picks right now for solo queue. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.